To encourage healthful eating. See, it's a positive article. And you read the headline, it's like, oh, they banned some lunches. That sounds reasonable. Then you read deeper. No. That was before it was just some lunches, some things. Now it's everything. You don't bring a lunch, period. It's some school districts. So everything here is written to be deceptive. To encourage healthful eating, Chicago's school doesn't allow kids to bring lunches or certain snacks from home. Lunches, period, or certain snacks. See, lunches, period, but then you can't bring snacks unless they say it's okay. And some parents and many students aren't fans of the policy. What about they have rights and liberty? These are our children. We'll decide. Remember the girl that got arrested for a Luden's cough drop? That's in the candy aisle. Luden's has no drugs in it, nothing. Fernando Dominguez cut the figure of a young revolutionary leader during a recent lunch period at his elementary school. Oh, he's a revolutionary. Who thinks the lunch is not good enough? The 7th grader shouted to his lunch mates in Spanish and English. Dozens of hands flew into the air, and fellow students shouted along, "We should bring our own lunch. We should bring our own lunch." Oh, they will arrest you. We should bring our own lunch. So you will buy everything at the sharecropper company store. You can't buy anything from an outside general store if you're a slave sharecropper. You've got to only buy it from the company store. Many school districts for a decade plus make you thumb scan to get library books or to buy food. Then they track what you're buying. Fernando waved his hand over the crowd and asked a visiting reporter, "Do you see the situation?" At his public school, Little Village Academy on Chicago's west side, students are not allowed to pack lunches from home because you're prisoners. You don't let your biological slave parents make you food. Unless they have a medical excuse, they must eat the food served in the cafeteria. And see, there's no law, it's a policy. Just like there's no law to take vaccines, they just say it is the law, and when you call them on their bluff, they go, oh, actually, there's not. The principal said that they're protecting the children from unhealthful food choices, meaning their parents. We're going to come back and finish up with this before we get into the government saying, we'll tell you what lunches to have or how much salt, but radiation, we're raising the levels and saying it's safe. And then Supreme Court rules, prosecutors are allowed to withhold evidence or lie about you. Oh, yes, it's good to put innocent people.
Do you understand how dark it is? How far down the line we are? How late it is?
Thank you for joining us. Okay, cutting right back into the police state. The principal, Aliza Carmona, said her intention is to protect students from their own unhealthful food choices. See, they decide if you can homeschool. They decide if you take vaccines or not. They decide if there's sodium fluoride in your water or not. The government, it decides. When the government says jump, you say how high. She continues, nutrition-wise, it's better for the children to eat at the school. The principal continued saying, that's a quote. See, this headline in Chicago Tribune should be, schools ban parents preparing lunches. But it isn't. It's Chicago school bans some lunches brought from home. That's meant to sound reasonable. This was written to sell the policy. That's not even an accurate headline. It's, if they wanted to water it down but still be honest, some schools and districts ban lunches from home. Not school bans some lunches, so the average person goes, well, obviously, what is it, a bunch of cupcakes? Now you've got the food police? No, it's everything, period. And parents are testing it, sending nothing but what is seen as the most healthy. No. The school police take it and throw it in the trash, and if you do it again, you're going in-school suspension, and after that, you're kicked out. And now when schools kick you out, they'll slap criminal charges on top of it, claiming you're truant when they triggered you being kicked out. Nutrition-wise, it's better for the children to eat at the school. She says she's now the mommy. She's now the daddy. Not you, not the parents. You don't know what's best if your child has an allergy or whatever the case is. The school, the public school, is going to decide. Already nationwide, dodgeball banned, tag banned, then running at recess, wrestling, and now in some schools, touching. Can't shake hands, can't arm wrestle. You're prisoners. All of this, America is being turned into one giant social engineered prison, and they know exactly what they're doing. To the low-level, useless, Useful idiot control freaks know? They don't know. It's about the nutrition and the excellent quality food that we are able to serve in the lunchroom. This is a quote from the principal. It's milk versus Coke. But with allergies and any medical issue, of course, we will make an exception. Oh, how nice of them. Carmona said she created the policy 6 years ago after watching students bring bottles of soda and flaming hot chips on field trips for their lunch. Although she would not name any schools that employ such practices, she said it was fairly common. And then they have the Chicago School District saying that Chicago Public Schools spokeswoman said, we will not tell you which schools do it, but others are. In fact, listen, parents and general public, slaves, we won't even tell you what schools do this. You don't like us doing it? We won't even tell you. That's classified information. And, of course, everybody knows about the big lobbies. You wonder why at school it's milk, cheese, meat, more meat, whether that's good or bad for you. The point is, what you eat in school lunch programs is what big companies lobby for you to get. That's been written about for decades. You want some raspberries and strawberries from Mexico that have had human feces sprayed on them? Remember 1998? Tens of thousands of children got hepatitis from it? So what? It's good for you. It's good for you. All the Coke machines and Twinkie machines and candy bar machines in the schools, with the kids getting those because they make money, there's no problem with that. But you're not going to pack your child's lunch. Do you understand, slave? And it goes on to say that they must take the cafeteria meals or go hungry. That's a quote. And it says the children take the food they're given, but most of it goes in the garbage uneaten. You will eat the prison food. What do you think? Prisoners can bring their own food in? You think this is America? This is a Chinese re-education camp. And it goes on to say, though CPS has improved the nutritional quality of its meals this year, it has also been a drop-off in meal participation among students, many of whom say the food tastes bad. Doesn't matter, prisoners. Just like in private prisons and government prisons, where the diets in some cases are 80% soy, and the men are becoming sick, or the women are having increased breast cancer. Doesn't matter if all that soy causes problems. You're going to eat it. I mean, after all, in prisons all over the country, they're still doing illegal medical experiments on people, and it comes out all the time and nobody gets in trouble. I mean, after all, our government's been caught just recently all over Latin America injecting people with live syphilis. I mean, that's a loving thing. What, are you against it? And the article just goes on with, you must buy the lunch, and it's horrible, and nobody likes it, but that's the way it is. Okay. You're not allowed to bring bananas, oranges, or even grapes. Nothing is allowed. No food. Children have tried to bring their own lunches, again, with nothing but fruit and vegetables. Trash cans. Ugh. And all over the country. You think this is bad? For at least 14 years, I've seen AP, Reuters articles. I've pulled them up here on air countless times. They just had another one a few weeks ago where they do an unannounced drill, generally at elementary schools, and a man comes with a gun to the door. The teacher doesn't even know, almost has a heart attack. They line the kids up and say, we're going to kill you now. We're homeschoolers against public education. Or we're a group against open borders. That was the latest thing in the AP 2 weeks ago. Or we're a pro-gun group. We're going to kill you now. And they march the kids out in the parking lot, blow a bus up. I've actually been to one of these events in Belton. They blow a bus up or a car, fire shoots out, and if the 8-year-olds weren't defecating themselves then, it's just urination, I mean, this is in the news. Then they lock them down and won't let them go out all day. No lunch is allowed to show them how. You can go pull this up. You think I'm joking. All over the country, it's the same psych warfare, federally written. The schools always say, well, we're just following what the feds wrote. We're just following the program to get this federal grant, this safety grant. And they'll lock them down in the school all day in their room, no lunch allowed. And to show them what a real lockdown's like, these are quotes from the news, then they have to urinate and defecate in buckets. You don't believe me? Guys, search children forced to use bathroom in trash can during school drill. 2 weeks ago, it was the group attacking unannounced was a anti-open border group. And then the parents are under mind control. The school goes, sorry we had to do it, and your kids have nightmares. It's because the anti-immigration groups might attack, or the homeschoolers might attack. And the parents, most of them go, well, I'm not going to get mad at authority figures because I feel powerless subconsciously. I'm going to get mad at the gun group. That's right. There's an imaginary gun group that made my 6-year-old. And if you think they'll stop with the kids, remember just last year they had unannounced drills, a large pharmacy chain had unannounced drills where a man would come in with a gun and rob them, and it was a drill mandated by the insurance company. All of this is to create the perception of crime. These drills are giant re-education camps. You watch the movie Red Dawn, that's based on real type composites that have happened in different areas of the world where they're in the sports stadium and the parents come up to the fence to talk to their kids, and they're bleeding and they've been beaten. And what they do in a re-education camp is they say, we've got food if you accept and help beat the other people in here. If you decry the Bill of Rights and Constitution. If you say America's bad. If you'll become a spy for us. That's what Camp X-Ray is at Guantanamo Bay, where so many of the rebel leaders now used to overthrow other countries are shipped out. The head rebel, who is admittedly Al-Qaeda, was trained at a, quote, unnamed black site. They grab them, torture them for 5-6 years, brainwash them, prepare them, put them in power. And that's what a re-education camp is. Well, if you study re-education camps, public schools are re-education brainwashing camps. First, you got to go and thumbprint and get a special ID to be able to go in and get your kids. Then even if you're pulling them up to pick them up and the teacher knows who you are and got a thumbprint, got a face scan. All these systems going in. Meanwhile, the government, DynCorp and Halliburton run giant child kidnapping rings. They don't get in trouble. But you have got to go through all this. So there it is. And I got a bunch of other news I want to get to, and then your phone calls. Meanwhile, our media hardly even criticizes China anymore. Beijing police halt unapproved church services. Well, in America, if you don't get a 501c3... for your church, even though under the First Amendment it's totally legal and lawful, they tricked you 60 years ago to sign on to a charity. And the big denominations standardized it by ordering all their subgroups throughout the country and the world to sign up for a 501c3, which takes you from being a religious institution under the First Amendment. Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof. And so all the big denominations in the 50s and 60s shifted over to, we still get our tax exemption. We're just now a charitable organization and can't be involved in political activity. And so I've seen Baptist churches in Austin issue sheets. Don't talk bad about abortion. Don't talk bad about the war. Don't talk bad about the president. You're not allowed to talk about politics or we'll lose our 501c3, even at church barbecues and church field trips. Meanwhile, Media Matters 501c3 can openly say, we are here to wreck media, take over alternative media in guerrilla warfare. We work for George Soros. We will destroy you. And they're like, absolutely, your 501c3 is fine. But that doesn't matter. Churches don't have to be under 501c3. But remember the Indianapolis Baptist Temple there for 40-something years? Not 501c3. They SWAT teamed them, hit them hard. Oh, but America's so free. I mean, they took those pastors to jail. China, they just kicked them out of the church. And I guess China's doing what's needed. Beijing police halt unapproved church service. Great job. Oh, let me get to the other news here. I heard this over the weekend and had trouble believing it, but I went and looked it up, and sure enough, it was true. Rogue prosecutors get licensed to lie and cheat. That was the headline out of the Libertarian blog that boiled down a bunch of mainstream news articles. Here are those articles linked. Now, again, just like the Chicago Tribune had an article about, a few things are banned from school and your lunch. To make it sound reasonable, then you read the first paragraph. All lunches are banned from parents, period. Period. Bananas, you name it, all of it. Wheat bread, everything. We'll make it simple. The school knows best. They actually say that. Visit Infowars.com and PrisonPlanet.com. When you're on the site, you can also tune in 24 hours a day to my daily radio broadcast. There's also a free iPhone app to listen to the syndicated radio show when and where you want.